Hello, hi. Hey, it's Mark McKell. You've caught me down here at one of my most favorite places. This place is called, we affectionately call it the Cave. I've had a love affair with old cars since I was a kid. You know, my dad had a passion for old cars and old car restoration. He more specifically loved the Fords of the 30s and 40s, but we fiddled around with all kinds of stuff in the 50s, 60s, 70s, you know, in terms of cars. We went to car shows and swap meets and cruise nights and whatnot, and restored vehicles. I've got a lot of great memories with my dad laying on a cold garage floor, working on cars together, kind of being his gopher, if you will, running tools for him and stuff. He was a banker by trade, but he just loved automobiles. And it stuck with me since my teenage years. And so I've been hanging around old cars and fiddling with them. In fact, when my kids were young, I told them, I said, listen, you get good grades and make good choices and do the right thing. And we'll always make sure we've got a car we're working on. And I'll make sure you've got a nice classic to drive to high school. And we did that. Someday I'll maybe tell the story about all that. It was really a lot of fun. But anyway, I'm down here at the Cave tonight because I've got a problem with this 1966 Mustang convertible. It's a cooling problem, and the car's getting hot, and it's causing some challenges in hot weather. And of course, when you have a cooling problem, if you don't fix that, that can turn into some serious cash. You can literally fry a motor if it doesn't get cooled properly. So we're going to look at the radiator, look at the thermostat, look at the hoses. I know I already have a new water pump on it, so a high flow Edelbrock water pump on it. So that should be fine. But anyway, there's something we got to fix. And you don't want to put it off. And as I began thinking about what's going on with this car, I began to think about what I do during the day in our financial planning practice with clients as we help them identify risks and develop strategies to mitigate those risks to help them achieve financial peace. Hi, my name is Mark McKell. I'm the managing partner of McKell Partners. We are a comprehensive wealth management firm on the West Coast. We have a growing group of people that are focused on helping other people experience financial peace. I think we've got clients in over 30 states now. And one of the big areas of topic that we tend to be talking a lot about is the area of long-term care planning. Of course, we focus specifically on working with pre-retirees and then individuals in retirement. We're working in a variety of ways. How to transition assets when you're getting ready to retire, like a 401k or proceeds coming out of a business. You know, how do I take money out of an asset without running out? What about the estate planning topic, wills and trusts, power of attorney documents? What about Social Security or pension elections, Medicare? I mean, what happens when a spouse passes? Investment management. I mean, we're comprehensive. We're financial planners, we're wealth managers, but we're also CPAs. And so in this process of working with pre-retirees, one of the biggest things they want to talk about, and one of the things we realize is a huge threat to someone's financial life, is the area of long-term care. If you experience a chronic illness, it can be absolutely devastating. We talk to individuals every single week across the country who are spending $8, $10, $12, $15,000 a month in long-term care expenses. And if you understand quickly about the ramifications of that, you have to realize that the average length of stay, meaning how long is someone actually in care, home care, before they pass? Well, the answer is about 3 to 4 years. Well, folks, if you just do the math on those numbers, we're talking about a $5, $6, $7, $800,000 exposure per person, depending on where you live in the United States. This is not a topic that you want to put off. And so when I was working on this old Ford and thinking about the cooling problem and needing to fix that right away because I didn't want something else to go wrong and not procrastinating that, I thought about how many people procrastinate putting together a long-term care plan. And I just wanted to talk about that for a minute here. I got to get back to working on this car here, but I thought I would just cut a quick video and share some thoughts with you. You know, the Department of Health and Human Services has told us that 71% of couples at age 65 are going to experience a long-term care event. Folks, that's high. I mean, that's like almost three-fourths of retirees are going to experience a long-term care event. We've seen that in our own practice as people have struggled with a long-term care event. You know, people used to live in castles. And many, many years ago, hundreds of years ago, actually. But what did they used to put around the castle? They put a moat or a wall, and that served as protection to them. And of course, today we don't live in castles, we don't have moats and walls, but we have insurance. Now, I hate paying insurance bills, right? By the time I pay my auto, my home, my health, my life, I mean, so we've got to construct an effective protection mechanism. Most people, when you think about long-term care, they think about traditional long-term care policies that kind of act like an auto policy or a homeowner's policy. Folks, we're not big fans of that. You can be paying those premiums. They can be expensive. You can end up paying them your whole life, passing your sleep, and all that money's gone, and nothing comes back to the family. But there is something called asset-based long-term care, asset-based long-term care. And I'll defer to some other videos where we'll talk about these kinds of strategies. But basically, we're not paying ongoing premium. We're keeping money in the family. If for some reason we don't need it, an increased amount comes tax-free to the estate. But if we do, we have the opportunity to be able to stretch the amount of money that's going into a plan like that, sometimes double or triple in a shared risk strategy. Well, the thing I really wanted to talk about today is the frustration of people putting this off and putting off a long-term care plan. You see, the thing you need to understand is you're all right now self-insured, pretty much. I mean, if you don't have a long-term care insurance policy or have some sort of a shared risk relationship, then you're self-insured. You're going to pay 100% of that cost out of pocket. How many people can handle that $500,000, $1 million hit? Most people can't. And even if you're really wealthy and you've got a lot of cash and you put away a lot of money, you sold a business, you've had a liquidity event, most people recognize that having a shared risk relationship is really important. And, you know, as we've worked with people over the years, we've really watched that a lot of folks put this off because, frankly, they're in denial. Well, that's never going to happen to me. Well, how do you know that? I mean, I've got a client right now in care in California spending $16,000 a month in care. They're in their mid-70s. He's got Parkinson's. She recently had a fall. I mean, I've just seen this over and over and over again. And none of these individuals, if you talk with them, knew this was going to happen. And sometimes parents didn't have this problem either. And so we've got to make sure that we have a spare tire in the trunk. You know, we don't think we're going to have a flat, but we have a spare tire just in case. You know, there's some consequences that happen when we put things off. And one of the issues that's really important is our health. Our health can deteriorate. Well, why is that important? Because you see, with the best asset-based long-term care strategies, they're going to do what's called health underwriting. They're going to look at a health profile. And what happens is when we put this thing off, our health starts to deteriorate. You know, I had an experience with a client here not too long ago, and owned a very successful construction company on the West Coast. They build hospitals and schools and parks and whatnot. And he was retiring. He was in his early 70s, and he came to us because we're CPAs. We work a lot with other CPAs, and they had recommended this family to us. And I asked him in our conversation about what his goals and objectives were of what he wanted to talk about. And he said, well, I'm really concerned about my assets, my investments. I want to make sure they're aligned properly with my goals and my objectives. And then he said, I'm concerned about long-term care. I don't really know what to do, but I hear it's expensive. But if I go on claim, I don't know, I just need to be educated about that. And then I asked him this question. I said, well, which one of those things do you want to work on first? And he said, well, I'd really like to work on the investments. And so we did. It took about 3 or 4 months, multiple meetings, did a statement audit, took a deep dive on the portfolio, had a lot of changes that we needed to make. And then as we concluded that and wanted to start working on the long-term care, he got back from a doctor's visit and got diagnosed with prostate cancer. And although it was only a very low grade, low stage, he's now out. He's denied. In the underwriting process with an insurance company, if you have an active cancer diagnosis, you know, this is a problem. And he was so upset. He just really kicked himself. He said, Mark, I've known that I needed to do this for at least 10 years. I've known this. Why did I put this off? Folks, I've seen this over and over and over again. Someone all of a sudden contracts some arthritis or some osteoporosis, some sort of muscular skeletal issue, or we have a heart-related issue, or maybe we let our diabetes get out of control and we don't manage our A1C appropriately. You don't have to be in perfect health. Let me explain that. or at least say it again, you don't have to be in perfect health. But if you wait, these kinds of things can deteriorate and our health can decline. And so it's really, really important that you take action and you move forward, at least get educated and build a strategy. The other thing that I've noticed as people wait, one of the consequences is that the benefits are not as good the older that you get. We've done a lot of research. Being CPAs, you might expect this, being analysts and very analytical. We've looked at money going in, benefits coming out at age 65 or so, money going in, benefits coming out at age 75. They're both good. But the earlier you do this, the far greater the benefit is based on the money going in. And so it's so important that you don't drag your feet. It's so important that you don't procrastinate. Now, maybe you'll decide that you want to be self-insured. That's possible. But at least you're going to know how to do that. Are you going to use qualified money or non-qualified money? Are you going to use pre-tax money like an IRA, a 401k, 403b, 457? Is it going to come out of your non-qualified after-tax brokerage account? I mean, if you had a care event, if you contracted a chronic illness, where'd that money coming from? How are you going to spend $8, $10, $12, $15,000 a month? And by the way, if you're in your 60s today, or even in your mid 70s, it's not the cost today. The average age of when insurance companies are paying claims is in your early 80s. So if you're 65 right now, well, what's inflation going to do with that $8, $10, $12,000 a month bill 15 years from now? Folks, this is one of the biggest risks in retirement, and you need to pay attention. I just want to encourage you to get an appointment, talk, learn about these different strategies that are available, and move forward. We have a rule at McKell Partners, and it says, don't ever do anything you don't understand. That's important. Sounds obvious, doesn't it? But oftentimes people are doing things that they don't completely understand, or they haven't met an advisor that will slow this down and begin to explain this in a way that can be helpful. Listen, I hope this has been helpful. I want to encourage you to move forward. I got to get back to this old Ford. I'm actually excited to figure out what the problem is in this cooling system and figure out what's going on, because I haven't driven it for the last couple of weeks because it's hot. It's during the summer, and I don't want the thing to overheat on me. And I'm hoping it's something that's fairly simple. Listen, take action and move forward. I hope we have an opportunity to meet down the road. I hope this has been helpful. Listen, we do an online masterclass, a webinar called Don't Go Broke in a Nursing Home every month. You can go to our website at McKellPartners.com. I'm sure you're getting this in some way where there's some contact information in an email or maybe on YouTube here where you can connect with us. I want to encourage you to do so. When I talk to people that are having a chronic illness and they're going into care and they have a care plan they put in place years before, thinking into the future, a protection mechanism, they are so relieved. They're so happy that they've done that. I want to encourage you to do that, okay? All right, it's been great chatting with you, and good spending time, and take care, all right? All right, bye-bye.